Okay, this is will be a replay of online yoga with Via on May 4th, 2020. Let's get started. Supine, lying on your back with a stack of washcloths, folded washcloths under your head. The idea is to find a neutral cervical spine. Your knees are bent. If you have back issues, you can use a mobility strip, if you have one, underneath your lower back, and then just press on it. That's one strategy for creating stability for your lumbar. Or you could roll up a hand towel or a bath towel and put it underneath your back in the same way. It doesn't quite have quite as much resistance, but it's an option. Just stay here. And we're going to start with vagus nerve reset. So bring your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, create a cradle for the back of your skull, the base of your skull, occipital ridge. And from here, don't move anything but your eyeballs, and shift your eyeballs to the right. And wait for a yawn, swallow, gulp, or sigh. Your eyes can be open or closed. Return to center. And then shift to the other side. If you're just new at the vagus nerve reset, you may not get a sigh, swallow, gulp, yawn. But practice and it will come. And you're probably still getting a vagus nerve reset. What happens is the nerve that runs through the eyeball and goes back to the occipital ridge triggers or trips the vagus nerve and returns it to a restoring, healing side of the nervous system. Come back to center if you haven't already, and just repeat this a couple times, looking, eyeballs only, shifting to right, waiting for a yawn. Oh, I'm going to swallow, gulp, or sigh. Via, can you hear me? Sorry, Parvin just called me. No, I couldn't hear you. Parvin just called me. I muted myself. She couldn't get in, and I guess I hadn't told her the password, or maybe the passcode was in the email and it didn't show up. Or anyway, I think hopefully she'll be coming in a minute. Okay, let's move on to head ramping. So you're going to keep your arms here and then press the base of your skull, the occipital ridge, into your hands and into your clasp hands. Press, hold, and release. So press, hold, and release. This is a very important movement that counteracts all of the roundedness we get when we look at our cell phones and our computers. Or driving. Well, nobody's driving much anymore. So don't tuck your chin. The chin will drop, the nose will drop, but it's because the occipital ridge and the base of the skull lifted itself up along the floor. Just do this a couple times more. As you continue this practice, and if you do this in your home practice, you will find that your spine, your cervical spine, really longs for this kind of correction. And it's postural. It'll help release your shoulders and your neck. And then stop head ramping. And you can even remove your hands if you'd like and just do a nod. And you can do this on the sponge ball if you want, and because that's what we're going to do next anyway. Although we still have to go back to breath work. But if you have a sponge ball, if you don't, you can just leave your washcloths there. And you're going to do what's called a C1 glide. So just you're going to tilt your head about 10 degrees forward and then about 10 degrees backward. Caitlin, could you call Parvin and see if she help her get in? I would really appreciate that. So gliding 10 degrees back and 10 degrees forward. I love the sponge ball for this, for this this movement, because it makes it safe. We have a lot of, as we are injured or as we age, we have a lot of stiffness and tightness and crankiness in the neck and shoulders. And when we focus on it, we can release it with these kinds of moves. And stay here, and you could be still resting your head on a sponge ball or your towels, your washcloths. We're going to do a little bit of breath work. What I'd like you to do just to start is just be still and notice the breath that you came here with. So this is called native breath. It's going to be different for each of you. And then go ahead and make claws with your hands and start to dig underneath the rib cage. So what you're doing is massaging and releasing the diaphragm. So you don't want to be poking on any other organs that are farther down below. You're just at the edge of your rib cage. You can use both hands on one side, or you can put one hand on one side and one hand on the other, and just poking and prying, and you actually may feel a little tenderness there if you have a place that's really sticky. This is diaphragm massage. And you can start breathing while you're poking, although your breath may push your fingers away a little bit. But you can start to notice, you were already breathing, right? But start to notice and breathe. Notice and focus on breathing while you're massaging your diaphragm. And then we're going to do the next thing we're going to do is breath and pelvic floor work. So we're going to do the classic one, which is, I think probably, Kathy, you need to take your sponge ball away and put your towels underneath your head for this one. This is Hypo Presses. I love this kind of practice. A lot of people are adding it to their yoga and their Pilates classes. And your whole, after we take 3 breaths, we take a shape. I'm going to tell you the shape in a minute. And then take 3 breaths and then hold your breath out. After the last exhale, the third exhale, hold your breath out and I'll count to 10 for you. And that is hypopressive. And it actually helps with pelvic floor and core work. And it's an alternative to crunches, which are supposed to have a lot of problems, side effects and problems for people. I love this practice, and I always include at least one hypopressive. So Kathy's you are going to bring your arms up like as if you're hugging a tree, and then flip your palms so they're going up toward the ceiling. Make your arms active, so the palms are pushing to the ceiling and the scapula is pushing to the floor. And then lift your toes up so you're dorsiflexing your ankle. Now the 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Last exhale. Hold your breath out. Stop breathing. No breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Whoops. And you're done. Oh, 11 would be okay. Except if this get 10, you stop before I stop. Come back, take the same shape. Activate your arms. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. Exhale, no breath. Hold your breath out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And so one of the reasons I'm a little distracted is I'm trying to work with Caitlin and Parvin to get her in the class, but apparently she's not going to be able to figure it out today. Just so if you think you're going to have technical issues, be sure and come a little early, and so we'll have time to work with you on them. She'll be here next time. You learn in online events like this, you learn both your event or your yoga practice, and you learn a little bit about Zoom. It's a part of the package. Go ahead and put your sponge ball or a towel or some washcloths underneath your head, or a brick. You could try a yoga brick and see how that is. However, my favorite, the best would be a sponge ball. So if you're going to come to this class regularly, I hope you are. I hope you'll invest in a sponge ball. I think they're about $10, maybe $12. Good investment. There's lots of things we can do with them, including a prone breathing practice that's really good. I really like to focus a lot on breath in these classes because of the coronavirus, because we need strong lungs to fight this beast. So just the first thing you're going to do is just nod, chin up, chin down. It's a little like gliding, like the gliding practice. But just thinking more about just nodding, chin up, chin down. It may feel like exactly the same movement to you, but we're going to add a couple of other things, moves. Do this about 6 or 12 times at your speed. Becoming aware of your breath and the movement. Why I like the sponge ball is it creates a lot of safety for your neck in all the movements you do with the neck. And then go ahead and nod, look right and look left. Just I don't know why I said nod. Go ahead and look right and look left. And do it slowly so that your brain body can enjoy it and learn from it. And then when you come back to center, make a figure 8 with your nose. And switch directions. And then come up to a floor-seated position. We're going to review floor-seated options. As some of you who have been taking this class for a while know, I really encourage you to sit less in chairs and sit more on the floor. And there's a number of different options, and we're going to review them. And then maybe in your own own life after this class and before, you will find a way to sit on the floor more often. So Kathy's doing the first one, which is a cross-legged position, lotus or modified lotus. And when you're in any of these floor-seated positions, be sure that you're finding good posture, seated good posture, so that you're sitting, you're lifting your spine up out of your sits bones. You're not rounded back and onto your tailbone. So, Kathy just showed what not to do. So, feel open in the chest. You may even want to put your arms up in a cactus to try to find that optimal openness in the chest and the upper back. So this is probably the most common way of sitting. You could be sitting on a brick or a blanket if this is hard on your hips. And any of these poses you could be doing. And I'll show you some other things that we can do in this one too, and in some of the other ones. You can take a brick or a ball and put it out in front of you with your hands. So take your hands. These are good posture exercises from a floor-seated position. So the arms go out in front, you're holding onto a ball, and see if you can find, if that helps you to find your good posture. So if you're seated on the floor, you're going to open your hips. It's going to be really good for you in that way, and your joints, and knees and ankles. But if you're seated slouching, it's not so good for the upper body, upper back posture. Another way you can practice good posture is just put your arms behind you like sticks. You're not leaning back on them, but you're using your arms to lift your spine and open your chest. There's a third way. Does anyone remember it? There's a third good posture thing. Oh, well, maybe next time. So here's another. So go ahead. Can you demonstrate? The next one I call knee Z. So one knee is forward, one knee is kind of backward, and some people call it an S, but but I call it knee Z. I've called it other things, but right now I'm calling it knee Z. And this is a great pose. You're going to be a little bit lopsided probably, but you can put a brick or a couple of washcloths under the drooping side so that you can try to line up once again your hips, your good posture, and when you look at yourself in a mirror, if you can, or when you feel it, you should feel that you can find good posture here. You don't have to list off to one side or the other. So, and then when you do this one, then you'll want to switch sides. So everybody switch sides on knee Z, or knee Z. Maybe I should put them all together, knee Z. So one of the things about sitting on the floor is that you're actually stimulating your cells and juicing your joints as you come down to your sit position as you get up from it. So it's the whole package that's good. So here she is, and you might remember on this one you might want to put a towel or something under the hip that is leaning awkwardly downward because of the Z position. What else? Then then another one is called hero's position in yoga, and you're just going to bring your knees straight forward and sit on your heels. So this is hero's position, and you may want to sit on a brick here, or you may want to put something underneath your ankles, because this can be a hard position for some people to find. But Kathy, if you put something under your ankles, I would spread your legs a little bit so that you're not the brick is not on the heels; it's under your buttocks only. Yeah, spread it just enough for that to happen. So once again, you're going to try to, when you're here, even if you're watching TV or something, hopefully you'll try to nestle into a good posture position with all the things that we mentioned before. Now, another position is stacked. It's called crow pose, the bottom of crow pose. And we can actually, if you have a strap nearby, we can do crow pose, the whole thing, and I'll tell you, I found the answer to the question about which side of arms work. So crow pose is both a wonderful whole body movement, but what you're going to do is stack your one knee on top of the other, both of them facing forward. Now, this might be really hard for some people, but it's a great pose to stretch the hips. And if you have a strap, I found out that the rule is, because this was asked in another class where I'm like, I don't know the rule. If you do the top part of crow, and we can spend a little time here doing that, you throw a strap over your shoulder. Do you have a strap, Kathy? Where's your bathrobe strap? You throw a strap over your shoulder, your bottom, the hips are in crow pose bottom, and then you grab, so the opposite knee, so the right knee, if the right knee is in front, the left elbow is up, and then you try to grab your fingers and hold on there, or you use a strap, which most people do use it, or most people in my classes use a strap until you can do it. So bend your back elbow, Kathy. So both elbows are bent, Think about it. The top elbow is bent, the bottom elbow is bent, and you're holding onto the strap and crawling your finger forward. Kathy, your bottom elbow is bent back behind you. So take your bottom arm totally underneath you, down toward the floor, and there. That's it. That's it. Yeah. I don't mean so. And now you can see. This is a great shoulder opener. This is a wonderful pose, actually. But the rule is the opposite elbow is high. Go ahead and switch sides, everybody. This is called crow pose, or it's the bottom of crow pose, half of crow pose, but it's a totally legitimate floor sit. And then if you want to work on your upper back and shoulders, then you can use a strap. Or if you're very adept at this, and you might be if you have had a yoga practice where you're working on this, you eventually will get so that you can actually just clasp your hands. And it seems like far away maybe for some people. And come on down from that. And then then another floor sit is staff pose. Your legs stay straight out in front of you. So straight out in front of you, and you may not be able to sit straight. And if you're not, you would want to bend your knees. So if you can't find a good posture position in staff pose, or you could also lean back. But this is a great yoga pose, and it's a classic. And now, so you can see, so you can put your hands behind you, lean back a little bit so that you're not quite in a stacked shoulder hip position, or you can bend your knees, and you will probably be able to find and hold on to your knees maybe, and be able to find that. This is a modified staff pose. And lift up out of that. That's another position. The last one I want you to do is not a floor seated exactly, but it's almost a floor seated, and it needs to go in this list, and that is a resting squat on a brick. So come on up a little bit and find a brick, or if you don't have a brick, you can maybe a book. By the way, if you are living in Puerto Vallarta, Alma at Yoga Vallarta has a couple of straps and some bricks, and I think maybe some what are they? Bolsters. I don't use bolsters, but anyway. You could contact her at info@yogavarta.com. So here's Kathy coming into a seated squat, a resting squat, using, and you don't have to, some people can squat forever without it, but just know that this, in my opinion, this is another valid floor sitting position. And see, Kathy, see if you can sit on a brick that's lower than that. Yeah. So whatever help you need from your brick, and some people will be able to sit without the brick. So that I've given you 6 floor sit positions. I hope you can practice them and come back next week and say you're doing more of this than you've been doing before. Let's stay here and let's get up on it, because we've been here so long. Let's get up on a chair. So now chair seated. So I make this distinction, floor seated, chair seated, because I think people say sitting is the new smoking, but really elevated or chair sitting is the new smoking, not floor sitting. But there's still some good stuff you can do in a chair. Go ahead, and we're going to, when you're seated in a chair, you need to find good posture. You don't want to use the back of your chair as your, to rest. If this is not a resting position, it's a very alert good posture position. So the same thing. And if your legs are short in relationship to the chair, like Kathy's are, then you put your feet on a brick or a book. We're going to do spine twist, side bend, and flat back hip hinge. So the first one is you're going to take your hands in front of your chest, prayer pose. Tuck the fingers under the chin, and you're just going to rotate slowly with some awareness and breath, slowly to the right. The rib cage rotates to the right. And then come on back and rotating to the left. So try to think of this as the chin is not, you're not moving the chin. We're trying to isolate the thoracic rotation, which actually is a pretty small movement. But we can get it, we might be able to expand the movement by adding a side bend in a minute. So just rotating. The head stays right above the fingers. So the only thing that's rotating is the thoracic spine. And do this really slow. The slower you do it, the more you're teaching your brain body how to do it. So we're doing this purest version of a thoracic rotation. Do it one more time. Breathing and aware of the breath and aware of the movement. Think of, this is called embodiment too. Think of what is moving. Thoracic vertebra rotating. Come back to center, and we'll do a side bend, also very small. This is my favorite movement now. The favorite side bend movement. Although we do other side bends. Just drop your right arm to the floor and feel the side bend motion that happens with the thoracic spine. And if you want to, you can put your left hand up on your rib cage like a teapot. Optional. The idea is to make the movement small, but feel or embody, be totally aware of the movement. And don't do anything else. Come back up, slowly back up to center. Now you're in good posture. Now you're side bending. Drop your left arm, drop it, and feel the crunch on the left side. The right arm can be up like a little teapot handle on your rib cage. Keep breathing. See if you can be aware of that and that only, this movement and this movement only. Let your breath support you. Come back. Nice. One more time each side. So I could have had you take the opposite arm up over your ear, but I'm not doing that because I want you to become aware of the purest of the pure of this side bending movement. It'll make you better at everything, every other kind of side bending that you do. Starting at the foundation, really, basically. What is that like? Come on back. Try the thoracic spine twist again. Bring your hands to prayer pose. Tuck your fingers under your chin and then rotate. See if you've created more range of motion for yourself with the side bend. And just go from one side to the other. Just paying attention to your movement and your breath. One more. Come on back. Now, looking at Kathy, I would have her put a brick between her knees. If I were coaching her at home in an individual session, I'd have her put a brick between her knees just to activate her inner thighs. Because could you see they weren't active because they were kind of splaying outwards. And so you can add things to your practice if you become aware of what your body is or is not doing. The next thing we're going to do seated here, elevated seated. The next thing we're going to do is a series of neck side bends, basically. So you're seated, good posture. It's still seated, or you could do this standing. I see some people standing when I say seated. That's okay to me, and they may be doing it for any number of reasons, personal preference, or maybe seated is hard on their back. So, but that's okay too. This kind of thing can be seated or standing. I want you to just drop your right ear to your right shoulder. So your hips are still on the. This is not a there's not a side bend. This is a cervical side bend, but it's not a thoracic side bend. So everything, the spine is straight, except your side bending, the cervical side bend. Stay here and take some breaths. And then go ahead and move the chin a little bit toward, so you're bending right, you're moving the chin a little bit toward the left armpit so that the stretch happens a little farther back in the neck. So it's nice when you're doing these cervical side bends to do both of them. And then when you're coming back from the armpit, come back first to center and then come up to your original. Other side, left ear to left shoulder, breathing, waiting. And then tilting your chin a little forward and finding that other stretch at the back of the neck. Come back to original and then come up. You bring your head up. We're gonna add resistance. So you know that some of my moves that I teach are Kihara resistance stretching moves. And in Kihara, you're always moving and you're always resisting. And this is a little bit more isometric than most Kihara moves, but you're gonna drop your right ear to your right shoulder and then bring your right hand over on so your right hand is over on the opposite ear. And then you're going to press up into the hand. So the hand presses into the head presses into the hand, and you're going to feel your neck stretch in an entirely different spot. But a different but beautiful spot. Press, press, press. Always pressing, always moving. So this is a very small movement, but the hand is pressing in, the head is pressing out. There's a small movement there, back and forth. And then just go ahead and slowly bring your arm down and bring your head up. Very slowly, actually. And then drop your head to the other side. Bring your arm up. So if you're dropping to the left, then your left arm comes up onto the other side of the head, on the right side of the head, and then you're pressing in to your hand. So the hand is pressing into the head is pressing into the hand. This is the resistance part of your cervical side bend stretch. We've added resistance. And you're getting a stretch at a totally different place. So, good stuff. Release your hand and slowly, slowly, slowly bring your head up. And then you can look right, look left, and see if you have made some adjustments. Great, you have another person with you. That's cool. Okay, now, so I don't know if you want to share, but I'd be interested in knowing how this feels, how all that feels, because I think that's a great stretching practice for the neck. We're going to come up to standing. We're going to do some balancing, so you're going to need, you could have a chair, as long as the chair is stable, maybe pressed up against a wall, the back of a chair. We're going to do short foot, then we're going to do balancing. So on short foot, you're going to stand. Short foot is, well, good posture, and standing is a balancing exercise, right? I hope everyone agrees, actually, with that. So short foot, you're standing with your toes pointed forward, or directly, the front of your foot directly in front of the back of your foot. And starting on the right, we're going to do right and left. Lift your toes. Spread them, and then lower them to the mat and press the toe pads into the mat. That is short foot. You should make a connection as you continue with this practice, short foot practice. You make a connection between your arch and your ankle and your glutes and your core. So this works all the way up your posterior chain. Left side, lift. Just the left side, lift, spread, and then drop and press on the toe pads. And you will feel something along the arch. Hold for a breath. And then keep going. Right side and then left side. You can do later, as you figure this out, and become comfortable with it, it becomes your friend, you can probably do both feet together. You can do this seated, but it doesn't do as much, it doesn't make as much of a, you can imagine, it doesn't make as much of a core connection because you kind of lose it at the knees. But all of the plantar fascia and ankle work and toe work still happens when you're doing it seated. Short foot. Oh, this is a good time for me to say that one of my favorite foot experts, movement experts, is a woman named Emily Splitchell in Manhattan. She's also a podiatrist. This is her version of short foot, which I believe is the best. And she also has a product called Naboso insoles, which help with proprioception at the bottom of the feet. And she has a special that's ending, I don't know, in the next couple days, where the Naboso insoles are available for sale 40% off because they're doing a rebranding. I have no idea what the rebranding is going to look like, but I wear Naboso insoles all the time, and I highly recommend them. And if you wanted to buy some, you could go to my website, Intelligent Movement Forever. If you just go directly to you can also just go directly to the Naboso Technology website. But you could also go to my website and click on Naboso Technology at the bottom, and I get a small commission, I think. I've never seen one, but in theory, I get a small commission. One time they asked me where to send a check, but I never got one. Anyway, that's a great one. Let's go to balancing on one foot. So you're going to lift one foot. Let's start on the right foot being the standing one, so opposite of what you're doing, Kathy, just for continuity. So start with your right foot standing, bend your knee, your other opposite knee, and forward, and then try to stand for 30 seconds. Here I am. I'm not going to be able to time it this time because I was behind on the 8 ball. But that's probably 30 seconds or more. Stop and switch to the other side. So I'm going to start now. So remember, you're just standing on one leg, and lifting the other, bending the knee of the other. And if you can, do it without touching your safe point, your wall, your chair, whatever, if you can. Balance is power. We're almost done with 30 seconds. I mean, you can build up beyond 30 seconds, but in the class we're going to do 30. Switch sides, do it again. This time, when you're doing it, and you should feel I think, a lot of amazing mobility in your neck. When you're doing it, you're going to look to the right and the left as you're lifting. So balancing, and then just the head turns slowly to the right and then to the left as we count down the seconds. If you can, do it without holding on to anything. If you can't, gently touch something. Your arms may wiggle. You have an internal balancing mechanism that's working for you now. And switch sides. That was 30 seconds. So the right knee is up. And I'm starting the timer. And you are starting to look left and right. So you can work up. There's other more advanced. Well, we're going to do one that's more advanced, and then if you have a partner, because Gray has a partner, you can start standing in a balancing pose and then throw a ball between two people. That's kind of fun. Partner work. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is do 5 seconds. No, let's do 10 because we did pretty good on 5 yesterday or the other day. Let's do 10. You're going to stand up. Right leg is the standing leg, and the left leg is the lifted leg, the lifted knee, and you're going to close your eyes and stay there. You don't have to do 10 seconds, but you can come down earlier if you need to. I'm going to time for 10 seconds. Close your eyes. Got done. Switch sides. Good job, everybody. We lose our ability to balance if we don't practice it. That's it. That's it. Now I want you to stand on the floor in good posture. And spread your arms out in a Y. This is a little inspirational movement, basically, I think. It's one of my teacher friends does this a lot in her classes. And I like it. So she's going to spread her arms out like this. This is a power pose, just so you know. Spread your arms out like this and say, I have gifts to give. And then hug your arms around your shoulders and say, I should actually unmute all of us to say this. I have gifts to receive.
I have gifts to receive.
Open up. I have gifts to give.
I have gifts to give.
Hug yourself. I have gifts to receive.
I have gifts to receive.
Yay. That's great. Come on down to the floor and we're going to do one more thing. Prone back extension.
Something happened to my...
Lie on the floor on your belly with your arms at your hips, palms at your sides, at your hips, palms facing up. You okay, Colleen?
Yeah, for some reason my thing shut off, but
Oh, okay. I'm going to mute everybody again because I think then otherwise I have to deal with technical other noise. But except I leave Kathy on in case she has to tell me something's not working or that I should be recording my class. Okay, this is our last pose. Go ahead, take an inhale to prepare, and then exhale, lift your back, your head, your arms. You can drop your head a little bit, Kathy. So it's drop the head so it's an extension of the spine. Lift your chest up a little higher if you want to, and stay here. And now take an inhale, and then exhale, return to the floor. We're going to add airplane and do that twice. So inhale to prepare, exhale, lift the chest, the arms, the head. Come up a little higher if you can. Nice. Inhale, and then bring your arms out into a T, airplane, palms down. Stay here and come up a little higher if you can, or not. And then inhale, and then exhale. Everything comes down, and that should feel really good. And one more. Inhale to prepare. Exhale. The chest comes up, the arms. Nice, very nice. If this bothers your lower back, make it smaller. Inhale. Exhale, the arms come out to the side. Just stay here, take some breaths, and see if you can lift the upper back a little bit more. And then inhale and exhale and return to the floor. Nice, very nice. Go ahead and find your way onto your back to close the class with 61-point guided meditation. I'm going to turn off my picture. You're going to find a really comfortable place. It might be warm. I want you to be warm and comfortable. So if you need a blanket, go ahead and find that. If you're in a chair, you can just be resting in a chair. going to ask you to move your attention to various body parts that I mentioned, but don't move your body. So starting with your breath, breathing in and out, and observing your abdomen as it rises and falls. And then bringing your awareness to the center of your eyebrows, the center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, right shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, left elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, right knee, right ankle, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. That completes the 61-point guided meditation. Go ahead and extend your legs and start to notice your breath. And move. Now you can move. Bring your arms overhead by your ears. Stretch the legs, stretch the arms in both directions. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Right side, left side, and then go ahead and hug your right knee to your chest and then your left. You can hug both knees to your chest, maybe. Roll from side to side. Nice release for the lower back. And then roll all the way over into a fetal position with your bottom arm bent and your head on that arm. Just stay here and take a little breath or two. And then use your top hand to push yourself up to seated. This is the safest way to get up to a seated position from a floor lying position. Find your favorite. I'm going to unmute everybody and find your favorite floor sit position. No, I did that wrong. No, I did that wrong. Hold on. All are unmuted. Okay. Find your favorite floor-seated position. Good floor-seated, good posture position. Bring your hands to your heart. If you're seated in a chair, you can do this too. Hands to your heart. And then just nod. It's a C1 glide. You're gliding forward, the skull forward over the top of the cervical spine. Bowing to each other. And ending the class by saying to each other, Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah.